5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 Sagittarius, all the way back through Scorpio to 23 degrees Scorpio. That started in February. I know, it's a long story. And it ends on June 29th, meaning Scorpio, Mars, Scorpio gets to 23 degrees, June 29th, and then stations to go back to that point and clears the path, meaning gets back to 8 degrees on August 22nd. So look at that giant chunk of time that Mars is kind of fishtailing, so to speak, or is a scorpion tail, or a snake, because Scorpio's snake, scorpion, and then the phoenix rising. So it's going to be working with a lot of, I don't want to crotch shot anybody, but I have to straighten this leg. It's working with a lot of this whole energy of transformation, spiritual transformation. What I would advise people is when Mars is in its retrograde phase, which is going to be between April 17th and June 29th, if you want to do transformative drugs, that's your time. On a mountain, wherever your mountain is, by yourself. Be safe. But if you want to do DMT, or, if you want to meditate on a mountain, that's your meditate on a mountain time between April 17th and June 29th. Why? Because if I were to equate this to any card, say in the tarot, this is the hermit time. If you want to practice celibacy from anything that you need to, that's addictive, it's about clearing out your body. It's about, and it's more than just like, oh, I'm going to only have green kale thingy-do. No, it's a real clear out. If you've been sexually abused, memories might come up. If you've been in an abusive relationship, that might be the time to sign that contract, or to say sayonara, sucker. Because that's the time, and even right now, I know a lot of people getting divorces. I know a lot of people who are consulting me on a lot of different things regarding this Mars. I have a couple friends who have addiction issues. I myself am working on self-acceptance and learning that I myself I'm dealing with past sexual abuse, possible memories that came up. I'm dealing with addictive relationship patterns that I didn't even realize were still there. I'm dealing with my own things. One other thing that I would really, really like to bring into the fact is Scorpio hates being abandoned. This is the #1 sign in the zodiac, and I would say this for Scorpios, Pisces, and maybe Capricorns, although they take it a little bit more, is out of all the signs, if you have, say, a moon in Scorpio or a sun sign in Scorpio, you're coming into this life with abandonment issues. So, for those, or if you have a moon Pluto, do not forget, if you have anything conjunct Pluto, look at that shit. Or square, if you have anything square conjunct Pluto, quincunx, I would say any really solid aspects to Pluto, look at that in your chart, because Mars is going to be helping that too. So say you're like, I don't have a Mars in any of this stuff, but I'm in, let's think. Okay, so say you have, so what houses are Mars? So your first house is a Scorpio sun, right? And you have it at 24 degrees Scorpio, okay? And it's in the first house. And you have a pattern of abandoning your first house things. So what's like a first house thing? Well, it's you out in the world, and say you have a really solid pattern of leaving people hanging. Like leaving somebody, or leaving your whatever. This is really going to ask you to work on that commitment thing. A lot of commitment issues are up. A lot of people who've lost mothers, for example, a lot of people I know with Scorpio moons have mothers that have passed away. And I know a ton of people with Scorpio moons. I know a ton of people with moon Plutos too. Do not forget, if you are a moon Pluto, or a sun Pluto, or a Venus Pluto, or a Mars Pluto, you are not excluded from this whole thing. Because that energy is working with you too. And it's really also, where do I feel abandoned and hurt? And how do I change these actions? And how do I become something where I feel like a solid self? And the way I like to put it, and this is what I'm working on too. Holy shit, I have a sun quincunx Pluto. I am a Pluto sun. And a ton of 8th house too. Anything in the 8th house. Look at your 8th house. That's important. Also your 1st house is important too. I'm working on abandonment issues too. But I'm also working on abandoning issues. Like, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it's kind of like that. If we look at Mars as a muscle, because Mars is the muscle, what do our muscles do? They expand and they contract. So why wouldn't it be the same for our psychological muscles? Where do we expand and contract, and where do we have our equal and opposite reactions? This is Mars, baby. And one thing that's, I think, like, I just started a Pilates program where I'm really focusing on my pelvis. Because what does Mars in Scorpio rule? The pelvis. Scorpio is the pelvis. It's a solidly quiet sign. It's the reproductive organs. But it's also our fire energy. And that's our solar plexus and our pelvis. So that's our 2nd and 3rd chakras. And I would like to say, if you are interested, there's an awesome astrologer. Her name is Eliza, Moon Pluto. She works with a lot of this stuff. So she actually kind of brought this into light for me too. Which I had already signed up for a Pilates program. But she also like reinforced it recently by, she had a 2nd chakra meditation up. So, with Mars, it's going to be physical and spiritual and psychological. So really try and hit all those 3 aspects. And I will try, I'm going to cut this video into 2. I don't know if this will upload to YouTube, but let me see. So this is part 1 of Mars Retrograde. I hope you like it. If you want a private consultation, please find me on Facebook. It's Christy Travels the World at Facebook. And I also do trade for trade. So if you're in the New York City area, I do an hour for an hour. Please find me, and you can comment if I figure out how to put comments up too. So part 1, Mars Retrograde. Peace and love. Take care.